Mythology fascinates me. It harbors enigmatic truths about human nature, profound insights that lead me to wonder if the original narrators fully grasped the depth they were conveying. In the West, most of our mythology comes through the Greek and Roman traditions that have been infused in the Bible. But did you know Islam has its own mythological underpinnings? It's actually when I read the Quran that I was introduced to the concept of the Jinn, enigmatic beings born from smokeless fire. Later I learned that their roots trace back to ancient Arabian and Persian mythologies. The West has of course adapted these entities in the form of genies in lamps. So mythology, with its enduring allure, weaves itself into the fabric of our collective consciousness, transcending temporal, spatial, and cultural boundaries. Mythology finds a way, and it's often these great religions that have been responsible for carrying their flame into the present. This particular discovery of the Jinn, however, took hold of me, and questions about them lingered in me for years, until a Muslim friend joined me for a walk. So I asked him, and as he answered my questions, a revelation dawned, exposing a profound gap in Western thought, a bug, if you will, in our conception of good and evil. We're all familiar with the contrasting depictions of angels and demons in Western tradition. This portrayal, richly woven into our culture, seemingly lacks the complexity and nuance encapsulated in the Islamic tradition. It's perhaps this absence that has led us into the throes of spiritual warfare. It's as if a crucial part of our lore was stripped from us, exposing a vulnerability that would, in due time, lead to our eventual demise. Now let me be clear, I don't adhere to any specific faith, but I am drawn toward these texts. They serve as precious time capsules, archiving the thoughts and ideas of the times they were written, often preserving wisdom that may have otherwise been lost to the cruelty of time. I am also of the conviction that every strand of our being, every nuance of our societal constructs, owes something to these spiritual traditions. Therefore, to venture into the depths of self-knowledge, one must also traverse the halls of religious wisdom, as they have in myriad ways molded us into the people we are today. Now to my discovery. In the Western, predominantly Christian cultural perspective, there's a familiar and comforting notion that angels are benevolent forces, guardians, and helpers leading people toward positive pathways and favorable outcomes. You may even hear people expressing the idea that God opened the door for me, or with an almost pagan-like superstition, believe they've encountered a sign of divine favor, or a celestial nod of approval has been bestowed upon them. An interpretation I now find profoundly inadequate. Eastern philosophy seems to offer a more complex perspective. In the realm of Persian lore, angels, while pure and good, creatures made of light, are not the only spiritual beings roaming about. Angels, in fact, bear no influence over humans, whereas the Jinn, creatures made of pure flame, are capable of influencing our lives. In other words, when a door opens, it is not automatically the work of good forces. It could equally be the Jinn maneuvering events for its own reasons, inscrutable and potentially sinister. This critical distinction underscores a more intricate and nuanced worldview. It demands a heightened sense of vigilance and self-awareness from each of us. Every open door isn't necessarily a blessing. It could just as likely be an invitation by the Jinn. The forces of good and evil are not cleanly delineated, but rather, it is up to us to take each moment as an opportunity for moral and ethical discernment. So I asked my friend, if angels don't intervene, then what is their purpose? He said, while angels don't intervene, they meticulously observe and record, documenting your journey as you navigate the intricate dance of good and evil forces in the brief span that is your life. This idea promotes a conscious, self-reflective existence where individuals are urged to scrutinize each open door, to discern the forces at play, and to exercise their free will with wisdom and caution, perhaps especially when it would seem some higher power is urging you in a particular direction. In the West, it seems we are eager to forego responsibility by attributing our actions to some external force, making way for us to move in a given direction, But the truth is, we must always hold ourselves to account and be responsible for our actions. Now, to be fair, the New Testament unearths instances of unclean spirits, or demons, as seen in Mark chapter 5, verse 8, suggesting a parallel to the Islamic concept of Jinn. And I quote, "For Jesus had said to him, 'Come out of this man, you unclean spirit.' And Jesus asked him, 'What is your name?' He replied, 'My name is Legion, for we are many.'" Now, even this perspective is used to abrogate responsibility. With the idea of demonic possession, it suggests a complete loss of agency and free will. No, sir, it was the devil that made me do it. But the similarity is nonetheless chilling. Many of us have been sensing spiritual warfare, a battleground unmarked yet profoundly real. We can feel its ongoing conflict, its echoes resonating in the depths of the soul. The pivotal question remains, what precipitated this metaphysical confrontation? I contend that the answer lies in the ingrained Western predisposition to perceive spiritual guidance through a simplistic lens, a world where angels shepherd us along righteous paths, and demonic influences, if they exist, are stark, unmistakable, and overtly malevolent. Our failure to understand that forces exerting themselves on us are unlikely to be divinely inspired, but are more likely to be tests to determine our moral fiber, is a much-needed concept in the West. The modern trope, "the path to hell is paved with good intentions," might be a cultural software patch to help us cope with the failed view of reality we still hold. The simplistic notion that attributing actions to divine will absolves individuals from the intricate dance of moral and ethical accountability is a misstep. It's a divergence from a path where every step, decision, and action is infused with profound significance, each echoing in the silent corridors of the cosmos. In Eastern mythology, both light and fire can illuminate a path, and each can provide warmth and comfort. But how will you distinguish between the two? The idea of the Jinn suggests we are not passive entities adrift in a preordained cosmic play. Rather, we are dynamic participants endowed with free will as a tool to navigate a world teeming with possibilities. Our choices, actions, and decisions are meticulously observed and noted, akin to a grand game where each individual has a singular opportunity to demonstrate their worth. Angels do not interfere. Their role is to document our every move, cataloging the choices we make. In this intricate dance of decision-making, every choice counts, and every choice is ours. There is nobody guiding you. There are only forces at play, attempting to influence you, and chances are it's for their own personal gain. So as you choose wisely.